Well, to walk through the park 40 years after we opened, it's pretty amazing, particularly in view of all the beautiful trees, planting, shrubbery that's here today. This was a pretty barren area when we first opened the park, and it's really grown into just a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous facility. The whole park just has a tremendous character and personality, and a lot of it's due to these trees. I mean, they just really make the park special. And you have to think that when we built this park, none of them were here. Well, it's still a phenomenal attraction. I look at the size, and it's still overwhelming. And to think that we did that in 1978, 79, pretty amazing. That was really the largest single capital expenditure that had ever been made in our company, both Kings Island Carowinds and Kings Dominion. And unfortunately, the year that we opened it, there were a lot of economic problems that year, and there were some heat issues. So the thing really, the Lost World as it was called then, really never got the launch that it was intended to have. But it's still a great attraction and ride. I look at it, I marvel at it's still standing, and a lot of concrete, steel, iron in that ride.
If you could bring back one ride that was in the mountain, what would it be, and what do you think about it being a huge roller coaster now?
Well, I love the idea of a roller coaster. At that point in time, we were looking to speak to another demographic. We were going more towards the family than the thrill rides, because we had a lot of thrill rides. So the one I'd bring back is the Land of Doos. And with today's sophistication and animation and storytelling, you could really do some really neat and cute things inside there. The reason roller coaster happened was Universal Studios was developing their big blockbuster films, their catastrophic films, Earthquake, Firing Inferno, films like that. And they came to me, Universal Studios, Jennings Lang, who was a producer, and he said, we're gonna film this movie about a person who goes through the industry, and he terrorizes the industry, and he blows up roller coasters. Well, that didn't sound too appealing to me or anyone else. I read the script, and I said, this script is just really inaccurate, particularly in terms of the people who work in the park. They had transient drunks and bums and racetrack hoodlums working in the park. And I said, they said, well, look, we're going to do this movie whether parks participate or not. We're Hollywood, we can build whatever we want. I said, well, why don't we do this? I said, let me look at that script again. Let me rewrite that with your people to make it more germane to really the young people who work in the park, the great people who are here. And they bought that. They paid us $250,000 to film here on site. And that was a lot of money in 1976, I think it was, or 7, somewhere in there. And they were hiring people, Richard Widmark, Harry Gardino, Henry Fonda, Helen Hunt's first starring role, Richard Widmark, who was a huge giant of Hollywood. They all came in here. George Segal, they all became friends of mine. Still stay in touch with some of them who are alive. But the casting director kept saying, I want you to play the general manager. And I said, no, I don't have time, and I don't want, not in the movies or anything. Well, she finally talked me into it. It was my second starring role, my first and last. They never called me again, but it was a lot of fun. To be immortalized on celluloid. And I still get people, this thing still runs 40 years later, and believe it or not, I still get checks for royalties. It could be $3, it could be $200, it could be nothing. It's crazy.
What do you feel was your most significant contribution to Kings Dominion?
Probably the opening, just keeping things moving and getting it to open on time and on budget. It was the second most expensive park ever built after Disney World at that time, and it was a big assignment. I was only 27, 28 years old when I was named vice president and general manager at Kings Dominion. So it was a big responsibility, and I think that's probably the biggest. To keep all the people working together. Most of the team was older than I was at the time, so to be managed by a young guy and keep everybody happy, that was a pretty big task, and we did it, and here it is today.
Another one that came in is, what was your favorite ride at the park while you were the GM?
Oh, it has to be the Rebel Yell. I mean, when we were having a tough day or a bad day, I'd walk out through my back door and walk down to Candy Apple Grove and jump on the Rebel Yell and ride that 2 or 3 times and kind of loosen up and scream a little and then have a good day. Yeah, so the Rebel Yell was great.
What would be your favorite ride just from your tour of the park today?
Well, certainly the Intimidator. That looks like a great ride. I still like those types of rides. I just was at Kings Island 2 weeks ago and rode all the roller coasters with my grandson. Back hurt a little more than it did 40 years ago. But this park's just a great park. It's got so many great attractions. It would be hard for me to pick, and it's changed a lot since I left.
What was your fondest memory of the park as a general manager here?
Oh boy, there were so many great memories. I really think just leading a team of young people and leaving a legacy of Kings Dominion for years and years to come. It's been 40 years. I expect this park will be here another 40 years after I'm long gone. So I would say my fondest memory is just being here and being with that team of people and building what we built and creating what we created and creating the excitement.